everyone, welcome to my brand new series where we are going to be dissecting different songs, genres, artists, tracks, eras of music. So this is going to be really good for you if you want to get better appreciation of the music you listen to. If you're writing an essay or an assignment on a specific genre or something, it's going to really help you build your analysis, see what we're looking for, how we dissect music, and go a little bit deeper into how songs and tracks are created. So the song that we're going to be kicking off with is actually a dance track from 2021. So that's when I first heard this, and it's actually one of my favourite songs of all time. I listen to it every single day without fail. It's a song called Liar by Tommy Jaden, who is a Dutch DJ. I think he's amazing. I love his music. He's brilliant at what he does. And side note, Tommy Jaden, if you are by some miracle watching this video, I would just like to say personally to you, ik zou heel graag met jou een lied willen maken en ik hou heel veel van zijn muziek. I really hope I said that right. My Dutch isn't amazing, but I'm learning. Anyway, should we get into it? Let's get going, guys. So, I've got my notes. I've broken this down into a few sections. We're going to start off with the harmony and the chords. So it's centered around F minor. Our chord progression is C minor to A flat to F minor to F major. So we've only got 4 chords. You don't want, in house music, you don't want loads of chords because it can be too much. Sometimes less is more. Less is always more. So it's very simple. The chord progression is very simple. So it's leaving space for the vocals, the bass, and the electronic production. So the movement between the minor chords creates a slightly melancholic and emotional mood, which you're going to hear in the lyrics as well. So the F major and the F minor tonality, very interesting. It's adding more tension underneath the vocals. So the tension is what helps the song feel less predictable, and it gives that anticipation and release to the listener. Why does it work? Well, the harmony is not complicated. It provides a very strong emotional foundation for the song, but it doesn't take the attention away from the main hooks of the song. If we look at the melody, it's very simple and it's very memorable. So there's a lot of repetition in there. So if we take the line, if I say goodbye, make me a liar, make me a liar. So you hear it the first time, and then the second time that it's repeated, that is it being, remembered in your brain. It's solidifying that line in particular. The melody is usually staying within a very comfortable vocal range. There are a couple of high points, but that is more for the important emotional moments. It's not all the time. And the melody is following a really natural rhythm of the lyrics, so that's where the effortlessness of the singing comes in. And then the repeated melodic ideas create familiarity throughout the song, so you don't have too much going on. There's not verse, chorus, bridge, chorus like you would in a traditional pop song. It's literally just this little bit repeated constantly. So it's simple enough to remember after only a few listens, but it still has enough variation to stop it from being boring. So the vocals are the main emotional focus of the song. The delivery is relatively controlled, and it's not overly dramatic, which I think is quite nice. You don't want it to be too much in dance music because, yes, the melody and the vocals are really important, but also the production is the key part of the song in dance music. The production is so important. So it's allowing the emotion of the lyrics to come through without overpowering the production, and the repeated phrases, they are your strong vocal hooks, your motifs in this song. The vocal effects with the reverb and the delay, they help the voice sit within the electronic production, and the vocals remain really clear even when the instruments become more energetic when you get to the pre-drop. So it works really well because it provides the human emotional element against the highly produced electronic instrumental as well. Your tempo in house music is so important. Typically in house music, you're going to sit somewhere between 128 and 132 BPM. So this has got a really nice sweet spot. It's about 129 BPM. So it's got that energetic house music feel. And that allows the 4 on the floor kick to establish the pulse throughout the whole song. The bass is working really, really closely with the drums to create the movement throughout the song, and the vocal rhythm is interacting with the beat rather than just sitting on top of it. Okay, so the short vocal phrases leave the gaps for the instruments to proceed and respond, and then the syncopated elements help prevent the rhythm from feeling completely predictable. So you do have some unknown in there as well. So the rhythm makes it physically engaging, and it gives the energy expected from future house, that typical genre. So the bass in this song is actually providing a lot of low frequency power and rhythmic movement. So it's reinforcing the harmonic progression, and the bass and the kick are carefully balanced between each other so they don't compete for space. The sidechain and the volume ducking allows the kick to hit clearly as well, and the pumping effect between the kick and the bass become part of the groove. So they're not separate, they're not competing, they're working together in this song to get that feel in the bass. So it's not supporting the chords, it's one of the main elements driving the track forward the whole time. So the instrumentation and the sound design, they have added to the track. We've got kick, bass, synth, percussion, atmospheric textures, vocal layers and effects. So the electronic sounds are designed to complete rather than compete with the vocals. So they're working alongside each other to give it that completed feel. And the different sounds occupy different frequencies and different spaces throughout the track. So this helps the track feel a lot bigger than it actually is without becoming too cluttered, because you don't want it too much, otherwise it's very overwhelming, overstimulating. But then you don't want too little, because then it becomes boring. We don't want that. So the producer is using a few elements, but the ones that he has used, they've got a very, very clear purpose throughout the whole song. I really like the arrangement of this one because it's based around building and releasing energy. So typically in pop music, you would have the introduction, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge, chorus, outro. We don't have that. We've got much different structure. Instruments are not added all at once. It's gradual. You get one and then another one's added, but that one's removed, and then something else is removed and something else is added, and it's constantly changing. There's not a time where everything is all at once, so it makes it very, very interesting. The percussion in this is increasing the energy, and the elements are removed before the drop. So our chorus, pre-drop, then drop, that's where the big changes are coming in. And the drop brings the full instrumental back, and then the track reduces in NG before building it back up again. So again, that chorus, pre-drop, drop, it's built, it's up here, and then it's going to come back down. We're going to do it all over again. Very common in house music. So the listener constantly feels like something is developing. The song doesn't become repetitive, so there's always something going on, something is changing the whole time. The dynamics and energy are probably one of the strongest parts of this song, I think. So the energy is constantly changing throughout. So we've got low energy, build, high energy, drop, release, rebuild, do it again. So the producer isn't keeping everything at maximum intensity. It is building and building and building, and then you hit your max, and then you're going to come back down, go back to no intensity, do it all over again. Quieter sections make the louder sections feel a lot bigger. So that's why the simplicity is so important, because you don't need 10 different instruments to make something sound bigger and more interesting. You can do it just by adding and removing different sounds and different instruments. And if everything was loud and full throughout the song, the drop would be pretty rubbish. It wouldn't feel as special as it does in this song. So there is a lot of tension and release in this song. So there's several techniques used to create the anticipation. So you've got the build-in percussion, the increase in intensity, the rise in effects, filtering, vocal repetition, removing instruments, brief moments of silence, or reduced instrumentation. So these techniques make the listener expect something. You're anticipating something to happen. So then the drop, when that comes in, that's providing your release. So everything is building up to that drop. The drop hits, everything releases. Again, we're going to do it all over again. So this creates a physical and psychological response. You feel something is coming before it actually happens. It's your brain knows to anticipate something. So within the production, what I love is that everything has its own space. So the vocals are kept relatively forward. The kick and the bass are like the center of the mix. The synths and the atmospheric sounds can occupy the wider stereo field. The reverb, that's creating the depth in the track. The delay is adding movement and space. Compression helps control the dynamics, so you've not got too much or too little. The sidechain compression creates space between the kick and the bass, and then the EQ helps different instruments occupy their own frequency ranges. So every element has its own space, so it sounds big without becoming muddy, is what this does. I think my most favourite part of this song are the lyrics. So the lyrics are conflicting. There's the uncertainty and the romantic emotion. The idea of the question, would that make me a liar, is reinforced throughout the repetition in the whole song. The emotional lyrics contrast with the energetic music and the production. So you get the sad and the emotional effect from the lyrics, but then you get the upbeat and the happy production through the music. So the listener can feel both emotions at the same time. This is very, very common in house music. The production is always going to sound more positive, whereas the lyrics typically are not as positive, but you get both emotions from listening to that. I love that about this. The repetition is used so much in this song, so it relies really, really heavily on that. The main vocal phrases are quite short, they're rhythmic, they're easy to remember, they're repeated frequently, and they're supported by strong instrumental moments. So the repeated line, "make me a liar," is particularly effective because it helps the listener to learn that more quickly, creates the familiarity, and it makes the song more memorable. You also hear that in the production as well. There's a lot of repeated ideas, a lot of repeated motifs, so it makes it easier to remember, and that's when you get songs stuck in your head, when you've got that repetition of something super, super catchy. But here it's most effective within the lyrics, where you've got that make me a liar repeated quite a few times. So the biggest strength of this song is that it doesn't rely on anything overly complicated. You've got a simple harmony, you've got a catchy melody, you've got a very strong vocal hook, a powerful bass, energetic rhythm, effective sound design, tension and release, the careful arrangement, and the result of that is the harmonically simple but technical, sophisticated electronic track. The real skill is actually in how the producer controls the energy and space, the repetition and sound, instead of how complicated each individual part has to be. Less is more, guys. Less is more. I can't stress that enough. So that was my little analysis on Liar by Tommy Jaden. If you haven't listened to the song already, I have linked it down below. I highly recommend you give it a listen. Listen to his other music as well. He is amazing. I've been listening to his music for about 5 years now, and I can't get enough of it. I think he's phenomenal at what he does. Huge fan, and yes, again, if you're watching, would love to make a song with you. Hit me up. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you've learned something cool about house music today. I will see you very, very soon. Bye!